So what is going to happen next with the Kang dynasty? Welcome to SciTrek, your sci-fi TV and movie channel. I'm not very well, so excuse me doing a video in my pajamas, my Christmas pajamas. But I really wanted to get this video out there because it's a really interesting thing that happened late last night. So, Jonathan Majors was sacked by Disney following his guilty verdict for those assault charges. Not a massive surprise. Something I've spoken to you guys about before was the fact that Michael Waldron, the guy that wrote the last two Loki series, was asked to rewrite Loki so that if they needed to write out the Kang character, that they basically could. The end of Loki season 2 gave them an out. Basically, it meant that because Loki had taken over and stepped through that thing and like basically tied all the times together and became basically like a time god, it actually meant they could now, in theory, move away from the Kang dynasty as their future serious villain because the timelines are no longer actually at major risk. Now, Michael Waldron is also now in charge of writing a new script for the Avengers 5. Now, I'm calling it Avengers 5 because that's what Marvel are now, according to my sources, now also calling it. They no longer refer to it as Avengers the Kang Dynasty. Internally, it is now just the Avengers 5. So what am I being told is happening? Well, apparently Michael Waldron is, as I say, currently working on a script for that Avengers project, and they were hoping to start filming as early as spring. Now, for the last 3 or 4 months, Marvel have been planning for this eventuality. Obviously, like I said, they rewrote the end of Loki season 2 because they basically assumed Jonathan Majors was going down for these assault charges. They basically knew he was guilty. So they were planning ahead immediately. Loki season 2 was rewritten, gave them an out, as I say, and plans for what the Avengers 5 would look like if that happened began. Now, apparently, they currently have 2 options, and Michael Waldron is working on both of these options for Avengers 5. One is that it will be a Kang Dynasty movie, but it'll be very different. It'll be the final Kang film, and Kang will actually be a CGI version of the character, very much like what we saw in parts of Quantumania, but mainly what we saw in the comic books. So, in theory, you don't really need Jonathan Majors if what you're doing is a CGI villain. That is one option. The other option is that they will cut the Kang Dynasty now. Now, apparently, Loki Season 2 did have and was specifically written for the purpose of both of these options, and that it basically left a door open for both of them. So, right now, Disney are thinking about the possibility of a complete reboot of their plans for the next 5 to 10 years. Now, this is something Disney and Marvel have already been working on over the last 12 months or so. Mainly because all of their movies, recently at least, have bombed terribly. The Marvels actually recently was the first Marvel movie pretty much done that I didn't watch at the cinema. Couldn't be bothered, didn't go. But Marvel have had a problem for a while that even before the Marvels, which did badly, a lot of their films have been doing badly. Doctor Strange 2, even though it had good bits in it, was generally not very good. And the less said about Thor Love and Thunder, the better, because that movie was bloody awful. And creepy in places. It was really creepy. So, Marvel, obviously, are reacting to this. And they were already making plans to slow down their release calendar, to spend a little bit more time on some of the movies they were planning, because that was one of the big problems they've had recently, is they were just doing too much too fast, and they couldn't keep up with a lot of the CGI, etc. The guys doing the CGI are now unionized, by the way, as well. So, that's going to make even things more difficult for Marvel. Basically meant some of the CGI, some of the films has been dodgy, and they realised that was a major problem moving forwards. Also, a lot of the TV schedule calendar has been slowed down. Disney have done the same with Star Wars, to be honest, and again, in reaction to some of those projects not doing as well as they'd hoped. So, I'm being told by my sources that if they go with option 1, with Kang, and it'll just be the end of it, they will obviously use the excuse of Jonathan Major's assault charges and being found guilty as the reason for them doing that, and they'll move on to bringing forwards a lot of the X-Men villains, etc., much quicker, starting with Doom and then moving on towards bigger characters like Galactus. Or they will completely scrap the Kang dynasty. They will basically say that, look, Loki is a fine ending to that. It resolves and ties off a lot of the knots. We're done. They will again use the Jonathan Majors excuse as to why they've done that. And they will, as I say, move on to the X-Men and other villains way quicker than they were originally planning to do. Now, we're going to be getting the Fantastic Four. We're going to be getting a lot more X-Men in coming projects and movies. We've already started to see mutants appear in the projects we're seeing at the moment. So those plans were already in place. We're basically going to see maybe 2 or 3 movies from the story arc plan deleted, and just that story arc brought forward a little bit. Those projects will, though, be done a little bit slower from a calendar point of view. We won't be getting 2 or 3 movies a year anymore. We'll be getting 2 at most. Basically, I'm being told that Marvel are looking at 1 major movie and 1 sort of secondary movie each year. So there'll sort of be a big project and then like something that's just not as big and grand. So we'll get an Avengers movie, but then we wouldn't get something like Wakanda Forever in the same year, for example. Then they're really going to be looking... Now, I say that this Jonathan Majors thing is going to be used as an excuse. And to be honest, it's a good excuse. Let's be fair. And any actor being done for those sort of charges today is very difficult to carry on a major franchise. But other actors have had very serious allegations against them and they've continued onwards. It doesn't actually look like Jonathan Majors is going to have a very long prison sentence, for example. It could be done. Why aren't they? Because what Disney really want to do is just have a massive reset. They know they've been going the wrong way. They desperately need to do this reset. And this Jonathan Majors issue, to be honest, is a nice excuse for them to use. It gives them a reason so that they don't publicly have to say, we're changing everything because our movies have been crap, which is really the truth. But guys, get into the comments and what you think. Do you agree with my source here that this Jonathan Major thing is a nice distraction for Disney and Marvel, and actually their films have just been awful and that's why they're doing this massive reset that they've already actually been doing? And would you be looking forward to Avengers 5? Now, it's not going to be Kang, because let's be honest, after Ant-Man 3, do we really want any more of Kang? Or, if they do, like we said, something that looks way more like what we saw in the comic books, would that be exciting? For me, I'd actually love to see that character done again, but done in a way that was more true to what we saw in the comics, in some of the earlier comics in particular. A way more vicious, violent villain, rather than the Jonathan Majors version, which was a bit, I don't know, soft and wimpy at times. Guys, get into the comments and tell me exactly what you think. If you are new to the channel, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. It really helps us out and you never miss any of our new videos. Also, you can go to patreon.com/SciTrek where most of our new videos premiere first. And you can go to scitrek.co.uk, which is our dedicated website where we do stories based on most of our videos. Go check it out. I'm going to go and get a lem sip and I'll see you all later.